Hello and welcome to Connectionology's Tech Tools for Litigation, from hardware to software. We want to thank you for joining us on the webinar today. We are looking forward to some very informative content. Kicking it off, as always, is Ginger Jerry.
Well, hi, everybody. How are you doing today? We are so excited. We're going to have such a great webinar. We're going to learn all about technology, so this is going to be a lot of fun. And looks like we have some of our incredible sponsors that are joining us today. I see Kim, looks like Kim's coming on in just a minute with On Point Legal Nurse Consulting. I see Kyle with HMR and Leon with Fast Funds. It is so good to have you guys here with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to, first of all, thank all of our incredible friends and sponsors. Because of them, they are the reason why we can do these wonderful webinars for you at home. If you don't mind, Kim, please go ahead and kick off the program and let us know a little bit about what you guys do at OnPoint.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thank you again so much. We really appreciate being here. To tell you a little bit about us, OnPoint is a legal nurse consulting and expert witness firm. We've been supporting attorneys for about 25 years on any cases involving illness and injury. Have you found yourself getting bogged down with complex cases and having little time? Our experienced nurses can help. They do chronologies and timelines that include an analysis which identifies the strengths and weaknesses. We also can do mediation presentations, charts, and graphs, and all of our reports can be customized according to your needs. Our other services include providing experts in any specialty needed who are all clinically active and located nationwide. For damages, we do full-blown life care plans for the catastrophic cases, and we do medical cost projections, which is a lower cost option for the less complex cases. For non-economic damages, our pain and suffering analysis helps to identify and quantify what the patient experiences, what pain the patient experiences, what losses the patient suffers, loss of freedom, loss of mobility. We pull that information out of the record for you to expand upon. Our goals are to make sure you are not blindsided, to simplify the medicine, identify any missing records or pre-existing conditions, and avoid surprises, overall helping you to maximize the case settlement. We have a reputation in the industry as the go-to resource for legal support. We're easy to work with and accessible, so please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to discuss a case or have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. And again, we're just so happy that you guys are here with us. If you don't mind, put your information in the chat box so that way everybody can reach out to you.
Great, sure will. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Paul with Strategic is with us today. Paul, it is incredible to have you coming all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about what Strategic does. And I see you don't have your eel with you today.
Now I do.
Okay, good. Now we can start.
So an eel is an ex-employee list. Let's get that out of the way at the very beginning, okay? So Ginger, as you and John know, for almost 20 years, we've been helping lawyers hold corporate wrongdoers accountable. If you're ever in a duel, if you ever get challenged to a duel, make sure you have make sure you get the opportunity to choose the weapons. Okay, you don't want your opponent choosing the weapons. You want to be in control of that. So that's what we do. We help trial lawyers choose the weapons, and the weapons are these ex-employees. Okay, these are not people that you're going to get from discovery. These are not people that your defendant is going to willingly give you. These are folks that are very knowledgeable about the evil that was going on, the malfeasance, the recklessness that set your client up for injury or death. And just giving an example, we just recently did a a drowning case at the Venetian Hotel, which is kind of where I hang out when I go up there. But this young man was killed. His family hired one of our clients, and we identified a number of formerly employed lifeguards and others who had areas of responsibility in those various pool areas. And my client said verbatim, they sang like birds. Yeah. So there's a lot of things going down that were not kosher at the Venetian, and set this guy up, this unfortunate young man up to meet a death way too soon in life. And so the ex-employees that we found were really great at showing where the shortcomings were. We do it in every kind of PI environment you can imagine, everything from a slip and fall or a dram shop case, all the way to big pharma. So I'll put my information in. I want you to get in touch with Connor. If you text him, he'll shoot you a redacted exemplar of an eel, and you'll have your own eel that you can wear around your neck. But this is hot stuff. And if I may quote William Shakespeare, is that okay if I do that? William Shakespeare said, "Something wicked this way comes." It's wicked.
Thank you so much, Paul. We appreciate that. And now we hope that if you can also put your information in the chat box for everybody, and also Connor's, that would be great.
Thank you.
That you have a wonderful day, and thank you again for being such a great friend and sponsor of ours.
Ditto.
And Kyle Kinberger, I know that you are with us today, coming all the way from New Orleans. And I know that either you or Ted Mullis is going to jump on at the end and announce the big winner of our coffee giveaway. And I cannot wait to see who's going to win. So everyone stay tuned, because we will announce that at the end of the webinar. But you guys do such great work at HMR, and we are so lucky to work with you. Please let everybody know why they need to call you.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, no, it'll be Ted today. As you can see, I have a different backdrop. I'm actually from an attorney's office right now. So no, we appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak to everybody each week. As most people hear each week, our company and what we do at HMR is provide help for the people who have been injured, but they don't have the insurance or the resources to get the medical treatment that they need at the time of their injury. I think what makes us unique is we have been one of the few companies that has really latched on and been a driver behind the big catastrophic cases like traumatic brain injury cases that have such complexity, not just from the injured person's point of view, but also from the family who's, taking care of these people. And so we feel lucky that we get the call when attorneys across the country, no matter where they are saying, "Hey, I've got somebody who's been, injured. Do you have somebody that can help with this brain injury or this spinal cord injury or this burn?" And so it's a unique product, and we've been fortunate to be able to have boots on the ground in places like California and Arizona and Texas and Georgia and everywhere in between. And so we're continuing to grow across the country through great platforms like this, Ginger. So we really appreciate the opportunity, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody in person sometime real soon. So if we can help, we're absolutely here. We'll put our information in the chat, and Ted will do the big coffee giveaway at the end of the webinar.
Fantastic. And you were so right when you said, "Can't wait for us to all be together again," because I'm counting down the days until we have our seminars. We will be doing Santa Fe in September, so I'll be announcing those details soon, but I can't wait to see everybody on the road. And until then, though, we're going to keep doing these great webinars for everybody. So thanks so much, Kyle. Everybody, please call Kyle, even if you just have some questions and want to ask him some more information about what he can do to help you. Totally worth it. And he's a really great guy. So thanks, Kyle. And I saved Leon, who's also coming from New Jersey today. I don't think there's any snow in the forecast, thank goodness.
Nope.
But But Leon is going to play like a really cool kind of, it'll be short, it won't take long, but it's really great PowerPoint that's going to show some more information about how fast funds can help you guys in all the business that you do. So Leon, it is such a pleasure to have you. Please let everybody know a little bit more.
Thank you, Ginger. And I love the new opening kicked off the seminar. I think today's topic is appropriate. Justin made us up our game in doing our presentations today. So let me go ahead and open up my okay, that's up. Okay, so for those who aren't familiar, Fast Funds is one of the first ever litigation funding companies. We were founded nearly 25 years ago by a trial attorney to serve the needs of plaintiffs and attorneys. We provide non-recourse funding solutions on a case-by-case basis. I myself have nearly 3 decades of combined experience in the banking and litigation industry, having worked for vendors and directly with law firms only on the plaintiff side. So I've seen firsthand how it's an unlevel playing field for plaintiff attorneys who have to cover their own expenses on every case on a contingent basis. Meanwhile, the defense has their attorney fees and expenses covered by the insurance companies, which creates a scenario where there's no incentive for the defense to resolve a case in a timely manner. Obviously, the longer it goes, the more they bill, the more they collect. And they also have deep pocket insurance companies, so they'll try to use outspending as a tactic for your client to accept less than their case is worth. So at Fast Funds, we're trying to help level the playing field. While other funding companies may take an interest in your attorney fees, ask for a personal guarantee, or a lien against all your cases, we don't do that at Fast Funds. We operate like you on a case-by-case basis, non-recourse, to help you cover the cost of litigation expenses. Using our funds allows you to move more cases along now, work them up, thereby increasing their value and decreasing the time it takes in litigation. It's your case. You decide what your case needs, what experts are best to use, and whether it's a life care planner, an accident reconstructionist, TBI imaging, whatever the case may be, we're here to support you and your clients in their time of need. If you have any questions, there's no cost or obligation to talk about your case. My contact information is at the bottom of the slides, and I'll put it in the chat at the end. And we've been fortunate enough to help attorneys nationwide and a number of Connectionology attendees get great results using our services. We have an attorney in Pennsylvania that does nursing home cases. He's telling me that, using us to pay for top-notch medical experts versus kind of the lower end ones has really made an impact in his cases. It really sets the tone with the defense, increases his case value, no exaggeration, he said, by 50 to 100% with a better quality of attorney, expert rather. On Point, who you heard earlier, is a great funding partner with us, or we've helped a lot of their clients. Kim had mentioned they have a medical cost projection report that's $2,500. Their attorney says, getting that report increased their case value by $75,000 alone. So imagine if you have 10 cases that could use that report at $75,000 increased case value, that's another $750,000 profit that you might be able to realize. We do a lot of TBI cases. The defense has great experts that'll tell you that your client doesn't have a TBI. By getting a DTI imaging funded through us, we were able to help an attorney prove the injury, which brought the defense to the table, and they settled the next month for over $1 million. We've got lots of different examples. I know in this past year, especially with the pandemic, clients may be unable or unwilling to get surgery. Getting a life care plan is a great way to help show future damages and increase the value of your case. We did this for an attorney recently and told us that alone for a non-surgical client, it increased the case value by 250. We'd love to be be our next success story. So thank you for allowing us, Ginger, to participate again. I'll put my contact information in the chat, and look forward to being of service as always.
Thanks, Leon. And for those that don't know, what's the difference between case cost funding versus self-funding for an attorney?
So self-funding is when you finally settle a case. You wait for the defense to cut the check, which might be 90 or plus days later, sometimes longer. You get that check, and then you have to pay taxes on it. And then with your post-tax money, you have to decide, well, do I invest in my next case? Do I do a marketing campaign to advertise for more cases, or do I cover some overhead? So that dollar can only go so far. That's self-funding. With us, you're using our funds to specifically to further along your litigation expenses, so you can make a bigger impact with more cases now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Leon. And please put your information in the chat for everybody. And thank you again for all that you do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ginger.
And now I would like to go ahead and get this program started for you guys. We have two incredible speakers today. I want to start with my dear friend, Justin Kahn, who I've known for many, many years, but also previously when I used to live in Charleston, South Carolina. He has a wonderful mother. His father, Ellis, he actually works with him together in the law firm in Charleston. Justin handles a professional liability, tort, product liability, contract, and other matters. But you're going to find out that he is definitely a genius when it comes to technology. We've done a couple webinars with him so far, and we're so happy to have him back, bringing John in, and you guys are just going to be blown away. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them today. And sorry, 1 second.
Well, you're very kind.
I need to get some water.
No, when you made all that stuff up, it took away your because it's so untrue. It messed up.
It is true about your mom and dad. And then
but not me.
We know that you're AV rated, you're board certified in medical malpractice by the American Board of Professional Liability Attorneys. And you also serve on that board. But you're also a professor too. Aren't you teaching a class after this, Justin?
I am at 4:45 Eastern time teaching discovery. Not just discovery, but also how to take depositions. So,
adjunct professor of law at the Charleston School.
In fact, we have Mark Kozaratsky coming up on Monday. He's going to be talking to the class.
That is going to be fantastic. Great. And you're also an author. I know that you've written the South Carolina Rules Annotated and the South Carolina Rules of Evidence Annotated, which was published in the South Carolina Bar CLE Division. So that's very cool. I know you've written, you've lectured, you've talked throughout the country on a variety of topics like advocacy, procedure, evidence, ethics, technology, and persuasion. So we are just so lucky to have you with us today. And then also I would like to introduce John, who is going to be speaking with you today, who's an expert in civil trial attorney. He is also a specialist in medical malpractice and personal injury cases.
John wrote this book.
Yes. And what's the name of that book? Can you let everybody know?
New Jersey Medical Malpractice Law. And it's only one.
Don't forget the new one.
All right. And the new one is Dropping the Digital Anchor.
Perfect. And be sure, John, to put that information in the chat for everybody, because I know they're going to want to hear a little bit more about that. And I guess you've also authored 3 books on legal practice.
Those 2 are the ones that matter right now.
New Jersey Medical Malpractice, Litigation Technology for the Modern Practitioner, and Try It. So that's very exciting that you have published a lot of peer-reviewed journals and magazines and books. We know that you also extensive lecturer in the field of medical malpractice, trial techniques, and technology in the courtroom, and that you've lectured across the United States of America on medical malpractice, patients' rights to access, audit trails, and electronic medical records. You're also an expert witness in cases that involve audit trails, audit logs, access logs, and electronic medical records.
I think you just scare people with those terms there so far.
This is a lot of great information. So, John, we are so happy to have you. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to both of you. You have, about an hour and 45 minutes or so to cover anything that you like with technology and answer any questions from our attendees. So thank you for being with us today.
Great. Well, thank you for having us. The plan was today, just so we do have a rough outline. We plan on covering different programs like Word, Adobe Acrobat, Excel, and OneNote, and try to show you how you can use these programs in your practice. And John's going to be showing you an example of OneNote and how to use it and how to make an electronic trial notebook, how to do some things with Excel. We'll talk about how to use Word to do things like demand letters and write out memos. And then we'll talk about Adobe Acrobat. Also, if you have any questions, we're trying to answer them in real time, and we'll try to either work on the answer in real time on the video or address it separately towards the end on an individual basis, should time permit. So we're glad those are some of the things we plan on covering. We look forward to it. This is being recorded. I think it's going to be on a Connectionology YouTube channel. So if it seems like we're going too fast, you'll be able to go back and watch it and then rewind. And so we're trying to get as much in as we can in the short time we have. So we apologize if we're going too fast.
So why don't I jump to OneNote, if that's cool with you, Justin? That way we can give them the overview of how to collect everything. Good?
Perfect. Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, let me share this. Okay. All right, so what OneNote is a program, and it is now on every platform. So even if you've got Mac or iPad, you've got an app for it, but it's a Windows-based is where I work off of. And it is, I guess the best way I always put it is it's the old school Redwell, which I've always seen, and everyone's like, all right, what do you mean by that? There's a notebook is in your head, think your Redwell for a case. And then within it, you've got your different folders, okay? And those are going to be in the top of your particular OneNote application. And then there are pages, which will be your backers. So if you can think of the visualization of old school organization of your documents, then you're fine in the digital world. So OneNote allows you to make your perfect setup. But because they want to confuse you, there are actually two OneNotes in Windows. Microsoft just, they want to give you a hassle. I prefer to use the old school OneNote over the app because they have apps and programs. And although a program is an app because it's an application, they delineate it separately just to annoy us all. So what is the big difference? OneNote is set up with the top portion of so test would be your Redwell. These would be your folders at the top here. And then on the side, you've got your page, which would be your backers. Okay, so that is how they structure in OneNote. In OneNote for Windows, they do it slightly different. They have up here on the left side of the screen is going to be your Redwell. Then they've got here are going to be your folders, and this will be your backers, and this will be the actual page. I don't like it. It takes up too much space. I like to have them working. The most important document is the one you're looking at, which is going to be over here. So I prefer the regular OneNote. But whatever you can do in OneNote, you can do in OneNote for Windows 10. Not a crazy thing.
Real quick, going back 1 second, for people who maybe have never seen OneNote, first of all, on the Mac side, it looks like what you're showing right now, but those tabs that John is showing, he's actually created those. So within OneNote, you can create your own series of tabs and name them however you want. It's not like OneNote comes like that. So for those of you who've never seen OneNote before, that's what's going on.
Right, and what I do is I have a template for each type of case. And that way I have it set up so that I know new case comes in, these are the tabs that I'm going to generate. And I'll walk you through that in a second. So what he's talking about are the tabs, and I have them at the top. And remember, like you say, give me the pleadings folder, give me the correspondence folder. So you can make them in that fashion, but I like to do it a little more specific because you can have as many folders as you like. In fact, if you have 1 million folders, you even have this little down arrow over here and that will allow you to create even more. And with that, I will make groups or setups to work off of. Now, when you're creating these, make sure it walks you through exactly. See, now I've jumped up to the other one. So PowerPoint going down. So this is actually on the Ikivo, which is what you're seeing now. This is the OneNote file structure, how it goes back and forth. Let me go to that. And as PowerPoint restarts itself, we just move on. This type of greatness. And when you want to create, you can take your notes directly on your pad. So it can be like draw and set up to a Justin. And so I'm taking my client notes and I've made it here. OneNote automatically takes this and changes it into a searchable text through OCR. But the more important thing is that you can have the ability to do what's called a lasso, search it, circle it, and then on the upper right, there's a ink to text. And ink to text will then type it. So you can actually translate all of your live notes directly into your presentation. So I'm going to just, why don't you jump to the version that is yours while my computer PowerPoint reloads up, if that's cool. With the iPad version. Cool. All right, I don't know what happened to Justin, so I'm going to just continue down this back out. So this is the, when you go to the dropdown, you can make more groups. And here I've got experts. So if I was to select there, you put multiple folders into one particular section. So let me show you how that's done. So if we were to go to your OneNote application and you hit the plus sign, which is going to be create a new section, that will allow you to type in test and create a whole new folder. And if you want, you can group text together and then make subsections for later on. That's how you build. Say similarly on the pages on the side, just add page, and each one of these will be a separate document, nice and easy to walk through. So one of the first things you should do if you're using OneNote is to get on Onetastic. So Onetastic is an add-on. It's free unless you want 1 million macros. This will allow you to turn pictures, manipulate the documents that are inside of OneNote. It will also create calendars and a couple other items that just make your life a heck of a lot easier. So I don't like to promote other people, but why not go for the Onetastic and add it in? The most powerful thing I use in OneNote is the quick access toolbar. And this is the same on any Microsoft product, whether it be Word, PowerPoint, Excel, any of those items. The quick access toolbar is really going to be your drop-down arrow, which is right here. Okay. This is usually at the top of your Microsoft product, and you'll see that arrow on the right-hand side. That function allows you to create a menu of quick tools that you utilize often. So if you click it and go customize quick access toolbar and go all the way to the bottom to more commands, this will allow you to see every command in the program. in an unstructured format. So you select, I don't care which one you're using, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, etc. Click that More Commands, and up will come a customized quick access toolbar. It defaults to popular commands. I actually find I don't use any of the popular commands. I use all commands. So I always jump down to give me all of them and let me choose what I think is the best option for me. And that would be a very useful additive. When you choose the options on the left, you're going to have all of the different tools. So instead of having to go home, insert, home, draw, or go through all those little things at the top, you can select which ones you want to use a lot. To do it, click the one on the left and just hit add. So you're going to select this guy and then go to add, and that will move it over to be put on your actual quick access toolbar. And it's the same for, like I said, any Microsoft product. And these are the ones that would be on my personal toolbar because I use them all the time. The ones that are my favorite are the ones down here for creating new pages and subpages and promoting and unpromoted, which I'll show you in a little bit. These tools speed up my ability to work within the program because everything I want to do is about speed. The faster I can move, the better I can manipulate my file to get to what I'm looking for. Okay. So you can see that on your main screen, you may have this is my quick access toolbar. I have it set below. This is called a ribbon. A ribbon is the tool headings. But below it, you can also have it set above. By default, it's above. I don't like it above. I like it right below, but your choice, and it's a nice setting to choose for what works well for you. Okay, I'm actually going to pull that up so you can see it. So on this OneNote, when you select here, I can move it above the ribbon, and now my quick access toolbar is at the top and not the bottom, which will drive me crazy. So I'm going to move it back down below the toolbar, and now it is above the tabs. So that is how I work with it. The ones I was telling you about, the new subpage, let me get my annotation tool here. Okay. So these three are my page creation items, and they're going to function on drawing and adding your pages on the right-hand side of OneNote. Okay. And so if I was to shut that off, let's see, show my spotlight, and I want to go add a page, it's right below, but if I add a subpage, it jumps in. Those can be minimized or X out as you go. And by making those subheaders, you'll see how beneficial it is. So here under the defendants folder, I've got my backers. And I've got defendant 1, attorney, form C rogs. Those are our uniform interrogatories that we send back and forth. The CV, some credentialing history, and an audit trail. So I can have everything I want put together right here. Welcome back, Justin.
I couldn't make up the fact that our internet and phones died.
Here I am thinking I messed up, and I'm like,
I thought you hit a button. I'm like, what the hell did you do? So, but here's a good lesson, and I don't mean to interrupt at all, but what I was starting to do, and then everything came back up, was to immediately then go to my iPad to log in via the cell signal. Then our internet came back up. So I was going to make that as a point as to why you need to have a backup plan in case your internet goes down. But I'll let you keep going. Sorry.
No worries. Not at all.
Literally, I thought, what button did you hit?
You disappeared, and I thought I froze.
Well, then all my phone lines went down. Like, what the hell? Anyway, all right, sorry.
That'll be silly to watch in a while. It's a blooper reel, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've got here, I make a tab, defendants, which is like the folder, and then I got the subpart. So if I went to cardiologist, I usually have the name and a photo so that I can have a reference point for what I am talking about. I then will move on to the attorney, and that way I have a quick reference for who the attorney is, their address, phone number, etc. And then I can walk through. Now, one of the neat things is you see next to, so this information was entered here, and next there's a line and JL. Obviously, my initials are John Lomurro, JL. anyone that has access to my notebook, and you can share it even with people not in your office. You can share it with experts, you can share it with co-counsel, etc. But they'll work off of a web-based program as opposed to the desktop version. But the people inside your SharePoint access will be able to look at it just like it was on their desktop. But each edit will have those initials put next to it, so you'll know who's adding what to your notebook, which is a great edit. Think about like the for those nerdy med-mal lawyers, the audit trail of your notebook. So then you put in, and I put in the documents. When you drag a document in, it does two things. One, it creates a new page. So we've got the title of the page. It goes to the top. So let's do that first. So when you create a page, it gives an automatic date and time. You can edit that to say the date and time the document was generated, or it's the day you made this page in OneNote. That's the default, but you can always track those to whatever you want. I titled this one Form C Rogs because that's our uniform Rogs. And then here is the actual link to the file. So you don't have to go back to your file explorer, your document management system, your case, whatever you've got. You don't have to go searching for the document you need. It's got an automatic link by just dragging, and dragging means selecting the file and pulling it into the page itself. You know what? I should probably show you how to do that. Yeah. It's me talking. Yeah. So I will drag a file in.
Well, and somebody's asking about whether or not this is all the same on the Mac. My simple answer is yes, although there might be some slight variation. I can't remember now because I disappeared. If the one you're showing is the one you like to do versus the one that's the...
This is the one I like to do. But it's, right. Yeah, so when it's at the top, it's the one I like. When it's at the side, it's the one that's the end.
For the people who use Macs, this is the same idea. The tabs may not line up the exact same on your version of OneNote, and you can get OneNote through Microsoft Office. It's part of the apps that you can have available to you. So everything John's showing you is basically what you can still do on the Mac as well as on the iPad itself. So anything you do on your Mac, it can go up into the cloud, and then from your iPad, you can manipulate it there as well. So you can work on the fly or on the go.
So what I was talking about adding in, so you find your folders section, and if I wanted to drag in, say, the cover picture of my book, I click it and just pull it over, and then magically, boom, your document's in there. If I was to do an actual physical document, it's a little bit different. So I will pull in MarkA. You click that PDF and drag it in, it will give you an option to just attach the file, which would mean you can't see it and you just have the file type, or you do insert printout, which I always do. Insert printout opens up your Adobe Acrobat. Of course, it's on the other screen, so you're not seeing it. But what that does is it does a printing to an image that goes and will be imported. It's only 5 pages, so it's going to take a second. And that will bring the PDF into your main document here with a link to the actual physical file. So
John, let me ask you a quick question. And if you've answered, I apologize because I was out. Mm-hmm. But another way I think helps people understand what OneNote is and what you have called a page is to conceptualize it instead of a analog physical piece of paper. If you think about it as an electronic whiteboard, and that background that you see, that gray background, is the equivalent of electronic whiteboard that you can throw anything you want onto it and organize it. So you can put a PDF, you can put a text note, you can put a picture, you can put an audio file. Just literally, if you think of a physical whiteboard and you throw things at it to stick as part of that page, that's what it is. So it's not as simplistic as a piece of paper that you would normally think of. And once you wrap your head around that, what I think is an important concept, then the power of a program like OneNote, or there's a program similarly called Curio on the Mac, becomes incredibly apparent to you. So you can drop a document, let's say you've got this article or deposition, whatever it might be, you can drop that into this space, then create a series of notes that you might want to ask the witness about that, or that you yourself may want to follow up on. So not only can you create notes, you can create basically a reminder system for you or flags and search forms. So it's
He's
much more
100%
powerful.
right.
It's much more powerful than just a piece of paper. So I just wanted to say that real quick. Well, if you hadn't said that, because
I hadn't yet. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Sorry.
No, you're good. Are you kidding? That's the best part about this, isn't it? It's the live nature. Like, so you see, it's already made a name here, and I can change that to be like best article ever. And I could change the dates. This, if I double click it, will open the Adobe version. This is now, like Justin was talking about, markable without editing the original. So this is cool. So like if you don't ever have to worry about, say, your staff accidentally mailing your comments and your bookmarks and everything in Adobe over to your adversary because they copied and pasted a file. Because if I was to take a highlighter and go like this, that highlight only exists in OneNote. And I can make my markings.
That's cool.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't know that. That's cool. So if you export that, the comment won't be there?
Correct. So all my markings, all this stuff is all in just OneNote, not anywhere else. So if I was to open the document, and so I double clicked on it and it opens the document, you can see no markings. So it's an extra layer of protection that I have found to be a lot easier. Not to mention the comments would be shareable with my staff and everybody else that wants to know about it.
Well, right there, while you're marking things up, why not give people an example of, because it doesn't matter what kind of document, whether it's a deposition, an article, a complaint, a pleading, whatever it might be. How about show people an example of how, let's say you've come across some important term in this document that you want to either use with a particular expert or remember you want to follow up on, or whatever it might be. How about give people a couple of examples of how they might do that?
Sure. So this is actually, so now that I've loaded in this document, let's zoom in and say, all right, we want the, glazing is important. So what's neat is this is automatically OCR'd. What an OCR means is it takes the image that's in and makes it searchable. So if I wanted, actually, let's do mortality since it's there. Search the page, mortality, and it takes you to the actual point. And let's say this is important to me and I want to know it for what is happening when I'm deposing somebody. I can highlight it, obviously, as something that's important. I can draw an arrow, say, hey, here's this. So these are all the tools at the top, those annotations. But what's better is called a tag. And a tag is something that can do a quick retrieval. So I'm going to jump back to my my PowerPoint because it'll be an easier way to do it. So when you're working, you have, obviously, we've gone through each page. So these are those comments. So here I'm reviewing the ROGs and I say, all right, hold up. They didn't answer this question correctly. I need to file a motion. So I've made a note to myself, whether for an expert, whether for my associate, whether for a paralegal, something to remind me. And JHL's on there telling me I'm the one that came up with it. So the highlight tools that I was using are under draw, and you can mark it. Same thing, the arrow tools. So they have different additives that you can use under that type. So you can make your annotations look prettier than just sloppy handwriting, which you may not have. So if you were to select the words file motion, just highlight them like you would do anything, like just select them. You then can use what's called a tag. And I love, this is the best function in OneNote altogether, is that tags allow you to set items to remind you because you're going to get 9 million things in your notebook. It's like an old school Redwell. How do I find the word mortality in that entire Redwell of information? Well, to do it, you make a digital tag, and there's a ton of them. I actually agree with them that the best tags are the ones that are Control 1, Control 2. So let me get that. Sorry, the laser pointer. So each of these can be attributable by hitting these Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, Control 4. And those items will put a tag on whatever was selected within your document. So here I've selected file motion and I put a box next to it as a to-do item. Once it's done, I hit the check mark and it's done. So that way I know where it is. But how do I find that to-do item? On the top.
Let me also let me interject real quick also, because I'm thinking about, for people who've never seen something like this before, an electronic tag in the context of what you're talking about is It's almost like an electronic sticky note, but with features. So when he's talking about tags, it's not like a tag that might hang off a piece of clothing. It's the equivalent, if you think about it as like an electronic sticky note that you attach to this page, you can then have that tag perform certain functions. You can put an icon next to it. You can associate it with a particular witness. You can have it set up as a reminder. You can have it set up as a task. There's all kinds of, just don't think of a tag as being a very limited thing. It can be an action item if you think about to-do lists as well. So I just wanted to interject that for people who aren't as familiar with what a tag is.
Go ahead. And what you just said is a tremendous additive, is that this, if you were using it, it teams up with Outlook. So if you want to put a task on that to-do item, it doesn't just stay in OneNote. It can go into your calendaring system as a reminder or a tracking item. But when you have the find tags, that will open up a new item. So I want to show you what that looks like in the actual one. So here, if at the top, if I went to home and then I went to that find tags, it will add on the right side that tag summary. A tag summary looks like this. It'll have your important items with a star. It'll have your to-do items here. So you'll know what was done and what wasn't done. And they're all linkable. So if I want to jump to this one, I jump to this one. I want to jump to the important item. All of those things.
Let's just slow down 1 second so people can see also what the process what's just happened. He just jumped from one part of his trial notebook to another part just by clicking on a tag. So like if you see where it says add page along that right area, if he clicks on a particular tag, he's now on that page where it says CV. If he clicks on something else, he's now.
This is CV defendants. So the defendants folder, CV down here. If I click here, we've jumped to attorney notes, initial conference, just because I had a to-do item to follow up with the client and get photos. Yeah.
I just want people to start, again, another thing that I think is an important detail is there is no one way to do this. Don't feel like you'll never learn it or you don't have a system. OneNote is a flexible system that allows you to come up with whatever works for you. What John is trying to show you is here are some ideas to try out. I do not recommend starting off with some 1,000-page case file that you have open. Start off with a small car wreck case that has just a couple of parties and a few documents and play around with it. Again, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to
No, it's actually funny you say that because that's how I set up this test one. So I said an overview, I put in, all right, here's the introduction, there's me, here's some photos of the crash. So that way you can see, practice taking in the crash site. Here's the Google Maps image. First, hold on, give me back to my type phone. I put in before, there's me being a rock star. And then after me with my surgery, my kids, that's my beautiful daughter taking care of me. And then the surgery images. So you could navigate through these things really easily. And notice if you were working out of your file folder, you'd have to open each image to look at it. Where here, I'm jumping around from CV without any delay going to credentialing. CV is pretty neat. So this is covered in my annotations, whether it be I pulled other websites, I pulled other documents, I have notes, I have reference points. So all of these things are easy to pull together, which I'll get back to in a minute. But it's just a fast way because they're no longer standalone items. They're all brought into OneNote and they can be searched across, which is pretty neat. All right, so we go back to this. All right. So the tags, obviously, are the most powerful because then you don't forget anything. You know what's important, and you can organize your file into subsections irrelevant of what you've got. Actually, let me
while you're doing, can I just show Curio, a program called Curio, real quick?
Yeah. I'll stop sharing.
That is similar on the Mac side. It's a standalone program. Just to give, I'm trying to open up I
want to add something.
So
anyway,
here's,
so you're good.
Because what we're trying to show you is there are multiple ways to skin a cat, and the different programs do different things, and you've just got to get comfortable with what works for you. So what we're going to do is, let me share the screen to share. So this is a program called Curio for the Mac, and it's, although certainly OneNote exists, this is a program I like to use where John was talking about a moment ago. having all these different, you see it's a, well, you may not see it's a similar layout. Let me grab the annotation tool. All right, so with Curio, it's sort of like OneNote. You can set up, there's this organizer section on this side, and you can set up different sections. So here's a default section. This actually involved this is a very important project. This is a matter in which my wife was involved in a collision, and the police charged her with the causing it, and she didn't. And so I went to the scene and I did a bunch of stuff. So I'll sort of walk through how this sort of worked. So I had, again, I used this white space area and dropped things in here, like what I thought was the defendant's driving record. I went and took pictures of this. I used Google Street View, took snapshots and dropped them into the sort of white space, I'll call it. And then using a drawing, just dropping in various shapes, just like you can do in OneNote, I made various shapes to sort of signify the cars to try to show what was going on. And so this is sort of how I was trying to show which car was in which lane tied to this particular picture. And this was all just for myself to use to try to help explain what was going on. But it was so persuasive, I gave it to the adjuster for the other side, and they ended up agreeing with us, rightfully so, that my wife did not cause it, but the other side did. So I just want to show you that you can, some of these things that John is talking about, there's not just one program that handles it. And we can talk about this program later on, but my point was there's multiple ways to skin a cat. What you have to do is work at trying to make the program work for you and conceptualizing what is happening. And again, if you come back to the idea that you've got a piece of paper that's really a whiteboard that you are throwing stuff on, but it's so much more than that, that's a huge leap forward. So I'll go back to you with Excel, but I just want to show there's multiple ways to sort of conceptualize it. And once you start wrapping your head around that, there's so many possibilities available to you. You can start having a whiteboard space that has just information about the defendant on it. Then you say, well, hold on, why have it just one space? Why don't I make it a folder and make several white spaces in it, which might have defendant's prior litigation history, defendant's prior arrest record, defendant's prior, whatever photographs, whatever it might be. Then you all have it within that folder, and you can start doing these various tags to help you find things later on. So just want to give you all some ideas.
It's huge. And you actually reminded me of something, because that's what you do. And that is web pages are extremely useful to add in. And Google, as well as, what is that? Microsoft Edge is the new one, have add-ins. So when you add in your OneNote, you can clip the entire page. So how many times you want to print out a website and it cuts the pages off or clips the size? By just going here, you can have the entire page embedded into OneNote directly. So you pick which location you want to put it, you hit clip, and it will do either the full page, region, which is like a screenshot, article means it'll take out all the ads and all that junk, or it can send just the bookmark over. So if I was in, let's say, some random website that you went to and wanted to clip it, I would just select the portion I want, like your article, and see how it's just pulling out the terms, not the pictures and everything. If I wanted to select a particular portion of it, I could do that, and it will create the image, or I could do the full page, which takes a little bit longer because most websites go forever. And that will immediately put that web page into the OneNote notebook. I hate to spend a ton on OneNote, but it's such an important thing.
Somebody just asked a question, which I think is an important idea. Sort of, they asked about how does OneNote compare to Notes, at least on the Mac side. And I think it brings up sort of an important idea or distinction, which is, to me, Notes is a great app for immediately capturing an idea or a thought. And you can do that in different formats. You can type it in, write it out, take a picture, whatever it is. And what I use Notes for on the Mac and on my iOS devices is to capture a quick idea. Let's say I go on a walk in the morning and something occurs to me. I can create a note or an idea and then once I get back to and I can also drag it and drop it into a client folder within Notes. Then when I get back to the office, I can take that idea and more fully develop it within Curio or a program like OneNote. So I just want to answer that question. They were asking how it compares. To me, what John is showing you is that a program like OneNote is literally, it can be an electronic trial notebook, but so much more, because imagine going to trial where you've got literally 20 boxes of documents. OneNote can actually handle all of that electronically. And so when a witness says something on the stand, instead of you trying to fly through the boxes to try to find it, you can do a search in OneNote like that and find it and then pop it up on a screen. So we can do a fuller seminar on this some other time, but I wanted John to cover OneNote because it's just such a cool tool for people to start playing around with, and it's included with Microsoft Office.
Yeah, all it's free, which is awesome.
Well, free is a relative term. You still got to pay for the Office program.
Right. So one of the other neat things is you can embed videos from YouTube. So this is actually on YouTube, and you can play the YouTube video from OneNote, and it's as easy as you just copy the URL, paste the URL into this, and it will magically take the YouTube video from YouTube and put it into your Outlook folder.
Does it suck it in there, or does it just now click on it and go to YouTube so that, let's say you are offline, is it still available to you or not?
I believe it is, because see, this is now going to YouTube and see how long it takes to load. But so the link. Now,
I'm saying that too because that's a cool idea. Then that's a good way to grab a video from a defendant's website or a.
Well, if you want to do that, I would use a different program. I would use a PowerSoft video recorder, streaming video recorder. So that is an application that allows you to save any videos off of websites. It's really cool.
We just got a question from Bradley was asking about, would OneNote save the video so that if it got changed later on YouTube?
That won't, if they update it, it updates. So this would be, in order to grab it, you have to use the other program that I was telling you about.
Right. And on Mac, there's a program called Softorino, which I'll try to remember to identify for y'all. So basically, what you want to do if you're worried about a video disappearing, there's certain separate apps that you can use to copy the URL from YouTube or wherever it is into this app, which will then pull down that video. And once you have it stored, then save it into either OneNote or wherever it is you may want to have it.
Yes, this is a PowerSoft streaming video. So if I was on that website with that video, and I got that, just the URL, if I copied that, right-click, copy, I then go back to this and just hit paste URL, and it downloads the video. Yay!
All right, so I was asking the name of the program. For the Mac side, I use a program called Softorino, which I'll post. It's Softorino YouTube converter, which does a lot of YouTube stuff. And John just mentioned one for the PC side.
So those are, obviously we have a lot of different things that both of us use and grab. That's a side add-on. You can also screen record and put it in, but then you'd have to watch the whole video and record the whole video. And that I wouldn't recommend wasting time on. It takes too long. You know what? Let you jump in. So I'll go off on this rather than go to Excel. You can show a little more of your Curio, because I really love that setup, if you don't mind. Just because you had the video can be done in there too, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, you can do the same things. Part of what I'm thinking is I'm looking at the time.
Oh, I didn't look at that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No. I don't. Part of it is I wanted to cover a whole bunch of different apps, and I think we've given people a taste of the possibilities of how you can use an electronic trial notebook to get a case ready. You've done a bunch of stuff with OneNote. There's much more stuff to cover. And is any of it in your book? I can't remember.
Yeah, I do have it in there. Yeah, in the drop in the Digital Anchor book. Yep. Okay. Which I'll put the link in. But why don't you tell them about Word or one of those, and that way we break it up and I can come back to Excel, or you can do Adobe, whatever you'd like.
Sure. I'll do Word real quick. I'll do some stuff with Word. I'll do a combination of Word and OneNote. So let's do that real quick. Let me make sure. What I'm trying to do is make sure that when I my internet died. Let me share my screen. All right, so let's talk about, I'll do something real quick with Word as an example. A couple people were asking about doing demands, and I'll show a quick example of some features available in Word that people may not think about or know about. So here's a quick example of just a Word document where my letterhead and a made up car wreck case. What I want people to start thinking about is the ability that Word has to drop into it, not just text, the normal stuff you type, but pieces of a file that may come from Adobe Acrobat or photos, and start looking at how to do that, and also how to change fonts. We'll go through that real quick and drop in some images. So somebody had asked when we started about a quick sample of a demand. So I just want to show this as a quick example and some of the things that can be done. So imagine you've got a sample demand, well, not a sample demand, this is a sample demand. So imagine you've got a demand and you wanted to drop into it some images. And so this right here, this is an image from a police report. And what I wanted to do was show the adjuster how the collision took place. And so I've dropped in this image, and I wanted to show people a couple things about not only dropping it in, but how you might use it. And I'll show you in a moment how to crop it from a PDF, from Adobe Acrobat into this. But one of the things that people don't know is if you double click on an image, once you've dropped it in there, this side panel becomes available that allows you to do some formatting to the particular snippet that you have dropped in there. So one of the things that I like to do is once you've selected a particular item like this, you can either, if you just double click on it, the side panel opens up, which opens up the panel for picture format, which is right here. And you can do all these different kinds of things to the image that you drop in there. So imagine you want to put a line around this image so that when it shows up, there's a little red line around it. So you can select the, I'll call it snippet, click on the little paint can and say, I want to use a solid line. So then it will then add a solid line right here. You can click on a color. Let's say you want it to be red and you want it to be a thick line. So if you do that, you can see as I'm doing that, this line is appearing around this. So it's basically creating a box around that image. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, but I just want to, again, my goal is to show all kinds of examples of things that you can do with a document, with Word, and with things that you drop in it. So here's an example of a photograph of the rear end of my client's car. So let's say I've got this image in here, but I want to do some things that I want to crop it. That is, I want to get rid of some extra stuff around each side. And all this stuff is being done right now with Microsoft Word, not with OneNote. So this is Word itself. Although there are very similar features that you can do the exact same thing with OneNote as well. So I'm in Microsoft Word right here, and I've clicked on this image once that I've dropped in here. And if I double click on it, this picture format bar becomes available, and I can do all kinds of things. One of which is this crop tool. And what the crop tool is, think of it as scissors that will cut along an image. So if I click on it, and I'm going to crop this image, these little handles sort of appear. I'll try to zoom in a little bit on it. So these little handlebar kinds of things appear that you can grab onto. So if I grab this one and scoot it to the left, I'm clicking and holding and dragging this to the left. And I want to do the same thing on this side. And then if I hit return, it crops the image and gets rid of that extra stuff, I'll call it. So now you've got the same image, but within Word itself, without using a fancy picture editor, I can crop an image or piece of a document that I've dropped in here within Word itself. So I want to show that real quick as an example or as an idea of some tools that you may not have played around with. So again, I can click on the image. I can click on, you can even do corrections. So if you want to start changing well, let's not do sharpness, picture color. So you want to change some of the saturation. It can actually change some of the stuff to do with the way the image looks. I would rather use a photo editor, but those kinds of things are available. And again, if you want to create a line around it, you click on a color, choose a color. Let's say you want orange for whatever reason. Do the thickness of it, and you can see the thickness of it growing as I'm choosing a point size, and it's making that point size around here. So although I'm showing this in the context of a demand letter, I also use this in briefs and in literally an appellate court brief I recently filed, and I'll show you that in a moment. One of the other things that I think is what I'll call fun to do, but it's a way to call out information contained in the document in a different way, is I may change the font of text within a document in order to emphasize it. So here I am citing a South Carolina statute. You notice it looks more like a typewriter. You see right here where it says Curio. If I click on this, it's in Adobe Caslon. So I wanted this section to stand out to the adjuster slightly differently and make it look more legalistic, if that's even the right word. So I can select between all these different fonts, if I wanted it to be bold. And now I have that. To me, it's a way to make things stand out within a document. Now, a couple other things that I think are fun to do, at least on the Mac side, is here in real time, you can add an image to now I'm on a Mac, using your various iOS devices, assuming your computer and your iOS device are on the same Wi-Fi network. I can actually take a picture with my phone or iPad and drop it into this Word document. So let's say, for example, I've got a reminder here to add MediVisual graphic. So if I right-click right here, there's an option, as long as I'm on the same Wi-Fi network, to insert from phone or iPad. So I'm going to say scan a document. So what happens is on my phone, it now activates my phone, and I can hover over a picture I want to take the picture. It asks me if I like that picture, and I'll say yes. I want to keep it. And then what I'm going to do is save it. And what you will see is it drops that image directly into the Word document. So a picture I just took with my phone can be literally dropped into a Word document in real time. And on the Mac side, it's not limited to just Word. Almost every Mac app has the ability to right-click and speak to your iOS device so you can drop an image into it in real time. So if you're doing a keynote presentation, you want to drop an image in and take a picture of a room, a scene, whatever it is, you can do that. And you saw that was just in real time while that was happening. Now, one of the things I did, and it was on purpose, is I took it at the wrong angle. So now it's sitting in here the wrong way. So like, oh, how do I rotate this image? You can see right here at the top of the image, this icon kind of thing appears, and it's got like a circle. If you click and hold on that, then it allows you to then, if I'm clicking and holding down on it, it allows me to rotate the image in place, set it up, and you see that little 270 that appears there that tells me it's rotated at that exact angle. I let go, and then I can grab this corner and pull down and shrink the image or change the size and shape of it. And then again, let's say I want to get rid of some of this. I can double click. The formatting thing appears. I can crop on that and immediately get rid of some of this extra space that I see. So I wanted to walk through that real quick as a way to, at least in a demand context, how to create a demand, some ideas for your demands to drop in images and pictures. And I can also show an appellate brief if you want, or you can show something else. But I want to go through that with Word, unless there's any other questions. I want to show real quick how to do that.
No, that's huge. I mean, and that exactly what you talked about, that cropping tool works in every single one of Microsoft's products. And it also, everything that Justin told you, I use that in PowerPoint. I use that in OneNote. I use that in everything, because the ability to look, the world has to look pretty. If it doesn't look pretty, it gets ignored. And if you don't have things lined up well, you're just going to fall into the pack. And we are here to help you separate yourself from that pack and to get to the higher level. And what he's showing is exactly what I do for my demand packages, my letters, my briefs, and everything in that fashion. So yeah.
Right, do you want me to show what I'll call a brief and just using styles real quick and dropping in a table of contents, or no?
Great idea. Great idea.
So here's what I'll do. And somebody was just asking about how to get help. I'll show that. Michael was just asking about getting help, at least on the Mac side. At the top right of the toolbar or the menu bar is a thing that says help. So if I'm in Microsoft Word, all the apps have it. Help, you type on it, you start typing like crop tool or whatever it is, and it will do a drop down and find that tool for you. So that's one
on Windows, we call it's the search one. So there's a bar at the top of your app and it'll say search. Same thing. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's show real quick an example of I'll call it a memo. It doesn't matter what it is, but let's look at some of the things that are built into Word that you might want to use that can help you make a brief look better, or a complaint, whatever it might be. So one of the things that took me forever, one of the people that wrote in was asking about the difference. Are we going to talk about WordPerfect? I loved WordPerfect in the 1980s and early 90s, actually in college, but it disappeared from the Mac side. And so I had to wrestle with Word. And I still feel like I'm wrestling with Word, but there's certain ideas that I think we as lawyers don't get into our head very well. And I'm trying to show y'all how to do some of these things. So let's look at a particular document. So here's a sample document that we can create, and we'll try to make these available to you to provide you a chance to play with them. So one of the things that happens in Word, let me get my tool, is if you start, one of the things I want y'all to start understanding is what a style pane is and what that means and translates to. What a style pane is, if you think of it as a pre-formatted system where you can identify a certain way you want text to look like or act like under different scenarios ahead of time, almost like whether you're printing a book or a brief, that's what a style can be. So for example, here is some text. That text, you see I've selected it here. In the current style, it shows it as body text. So imagine I'm writing a brief and the rules require that the document be in double spaced always. But let's say for whatever reason, and I've got my document set up to be that way, but I learned to my great horror that the court wants things submitted in 1.5 spacing, not 2-point spacing. So normally what you would do, or if you didn't know about the style pane, you would select this, go to the this line spacing option, change that to 1.5. Then you'd have to jump over here, jump through this other stuff, find this part, and you keep making these changes, which is a real pain. What you can do is set up ahead of time a certain sort of style for how you want the body text to appear, how you want a quote. So if you're quoting a case, how do you want that to appear? If you're quoting from a deposition, how do you want that to appear? How do you want a particular, these are called headers, how do you want those to appear? So let's look at that real quick. And again, if you wrap your head around this idea, for those of you who have not played with it, it'll take a little bit, but once you wrap your head around it, it will make your life so much easier in working with Word. So let's say right here is an example of this body text. If I go up here to the right on the style pane and I click on this drop-down arrow, I can now modify that style. What's going to happen is, oh, it's probably not going to appear, is it? You don't see I have to share my whole screen. Let me do that real quick because I think it's not going to appear when that pop-up menu appears. It didn't appear, did it? All right, so now, and for those, I know I've got a big screen, so for some of y'all who are watching, it might have gotten incredibly small, but I'll get rid of this real quick. All right, so now what's happened is this pop-up window has appeared after I clicked on modifying the style. So there's a whole bunch of information here. You don't have to know it all, but here's the rough idea. It's telling me that this particular style, this body style, is set up to be a particular kind of font, and that's going to be Times New Roman, and it's going to be 14-point font. And right now it's set up to be, this is double spaced. Let's say the court rules require that your text be 12-point font and single spaced. Again, if you had to go back through and change it, it'd be a pain. So what we're going to do is change this particular style, which will affect all of the text that is of that style in the document. So now I'm going to click on this, which is now going to show me a preview of what it's going to do. So now it will be single spaced, and I can click on 12-point font. So from now on, I'm going to hit OK and watch what's going to happen. So what I've done is I've affected the particular body text style that's right here. And there's a whole bunch of other kind of formatting things you can do, but we're just going to keep it simple. I hit OK. It automatically throughout the entire document, every time body text style appears, it changes it to that formatting. So I'll undo that real quick to make it easy to read. I've now got other styles set up where I have, when I click on this part of this right here, it selects the quote style. So if I click on quote, I've preset up a style that indents from both sides at 1 inch, sets it up as single space and of a particular font. So every time let's say I were to select this text, or I typed in this text, I'll make some new text real quick. So let's say I type in some text like this real quick into the document, and I want it to be a quote style. Without knowing about this style formatting, you would go like this, right click, you go to start modifying your paragraphs, and you start doing all this indent crap, and it takes you forever. So instead of doing that, if you select that text and click on the quote style that you've preset up, it automatically sets that style up like that. Look, so hopefully I just want to show you there are ways to set up these various styles ahead of time to make your life easier. Some other things that you can do are these things called headings. So let's say you're writing a brief and you've got particular headings. Let's say you want to have, law, facts, argument, conclusion, whatever it might be. Once you type in that heading, you can then preset up something called heading, and then it will select it. It will make it that particular style. So this particular one, I've got it set up as, if I go to modify style, I can see how I've got it set up. I've got it as Times New Roman, bold, single spaced, and then it's probably indented. The reason why you want to know about this kind of setting is it allows you to create a table of contents. Once you've set up these headings in Microsoft Word, you can then very easily create a table of contents. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to, let's update field. What it's going to do is it's going to find each heading, identify the page it's on, and then these subheadings, and automatically create a table of contents. I know I'm buzzing through this, and there's a lot more to learn about that, but I wanted you to start playing with these ideas and these tools. My goal was not to do a deep dive into this, but I want to show you some of these things that are available to you that allow you to very quickly create a table of contents. I use table of contents.
Just tell them what happens when you export as well, when you get there.
Oh, well, okay, there's two different ways to export it. So one is if you have Adobe Acrobat DC, this extra tab becomes available where it says Acrobat right here. So if I click on Acrobat and tell it to create a PDF, one of the things it will do is using Adobe Acrobat, I gotta save it first. Using Adobe Acrobat, it will take this Word document, send it into the cloud somewhere, and it converts it. And one of the cool things it does when it converts it to a PDF is this looks just like the document I was just showing you, but it is now a PDF. One of the things that's neat is if you click on the Bookmarks bar, it actually took all of those headings and automatically created them as bookmarks. So now if you're filing a brief with the court, you don't have to go back and recreate the work in Adobe Acrobat of creating these various bookmarks. So when you click on them, it automatically takes you to where you need to be in the document or where you want to be in the document. So there may be several people's heads who are exploding with that concept, but that's a cool idea That's one of the powers of incorporating and working with these tools together. Adobe Acrobat, once you buy the DC version, whether it's on the Mac side or the PC side, will add this bar within Word called Acrobat that allows you to create a PDF. And if you've done these various headers and created these headers, then when it exports it, it automatically will create, and you notice they're also indented automatically. It creates the headers in the right order so that you can immediately start using them. So
I got to tell you, I love that. Once you showed me the overall transition in oral argument, because we're doing this on virtual world, you can actually have everything lined up. Oh, I want to ask you about question 2. Boom, you've got it. You've got your reference points to your links, your exhibits, everything is right there. It's a very useful and quick way to navigate your and your adversary's briefs if done correctly.
Yeah, a couple people were asking some questions about, yes, you can share your style settings. When you send that document off to somebody, those settings will be preserved within that document. So yes, you can, and I'll try to send some of these that I've set up in my particular way. We'll send those out with the program at the end, or make them available via Dropbox. Did you want to talk about Excel, and then I'll talk about Adobe Acrobat or something?
Yeah, it sounds like a good plan. All right.
Plus, like Ginger, getting ready to cough.
So Excel is an animal. It is a tremendous asset if you are used to using it. The Excel itself can, when it's exported, can look dangerous. People get scared. They see all these different columns and rows and you don't know what to do. Sometimes it can be up to 3,000 plus columns, and you don't want to have that. Because if you did and you wanted to admit that into evidence or work with it, it would really look like this, which is just not a beneficial item to do. So if you're going to work with it and you're going to set up your Excel and not make it this crazy, you need to make it pretty. I hate to say it, but pretty is useful. So one of a couple of quick things that come up a lot when you're dealing with it is fixing date and time in a column. Okay, so let's say you've got, this is an audit trail. Don't be scared. It doesn't have to be an audit trail. It can be any exported Excel document. And the computer has put the date and time in the same one. If you right click and insert, you make a blank column. Okay, columns are the up, down, rows are left, right. If you make that open space, you're going to then split the column magically in half. And the computer can do this on its own by going to the data tab at the top. When you're there, it will take the text and separate it into columns. Okay, so let me pause here. So that it has a couple different ways that it can split. Magically, computers are built in export to either put commas in between items, which would be the delineated commas or tabs, or a space. So this is a space. And since there's a space, it will magically find where to split the column down the row, irrelevant of the number 1, which is the header, because it knows that overall, this is where your break is supposed to be. Once you put the line where you want it to go and break it up, you hit next, and that will magically say, all right, well, this first set, what is that? Well, we know it's the year, the month, and the day. So YMD. And that will, and you know, this is a time, and you click finish, and it will magically take that one and split it in half. You'll have to fix the header type, you know, because it was 1 before, event date, event time, but now you've got that separation for navigation, okay? One of the other things you do is you can select that column by right-clicking and going to format, and then change it to time, and it will switch it from that very lengthy time to a AM PM scenario. Also, another useful tool is to sort. So making a table, sortable table. When you've got this huge thing, how do you navigate it? How do you organize it? Well, to do that, all you got to do is select the first one, which is all these column headers. Column headers is always number 1. And each column is a different item that they know. So if you select the A1 portion, of course I clicked it, so now I go back. A1, That will then allow the computer to know that all of these items are inside of a table. So A1, go to Insert, and magically there's a thing called Table. Table will look at all of the data and say, hey, this is all the data. Is that first row headers? Yes, it is. So check it. When you do that, it will then magically make them sortable by whatever is underneath each term. Okay. So, let me show you one so that you can see it.
Well, what version are you using? Somebody was asking what version you're using.
Oh, I use Office 365, so let's see what the current version.
Okay, I'll tell them.
Yeah, 365. Yeah. So this way, if I want to just look at a particular date, let's say February 6th of 2018, I take this all off and I want to see February 6th, and that will just show me February 6th. So you'll be able to navigate a lot faster once you are in a table setting. And each one of these columns is now searchable. So you can say, I want to see just this person, this user. I want to see everybody that did X at a location. And it will make your table searchable, which is awesome. So once you've got your tables set in a way to go, you have to understand to organize, because most of that stuff's useless. It's just all useless mostly. So you have to get the stuff that's relevant to you. So E, this is too long. Like, see how it's cut off? You don't want to cut off things. So you just go to Home, and you'll have on the right side, Format. This is a very powerful tool, and auto fit the width. So it will find the longest entry, and then it will set up the width of that column to allow it to be in. Similarly, if there's multiple up and down, you can do auto set height, auto set width. You can select them all and say Home, Format, auto fit width, and that will then straighten out all the columns, which is a very useful way to then be able to fly through them. Hiding columns, okay? Hiding columns I took out the UTC, so it came to me in Universal Time Coding, which is not for today. I converted the Universal Time Coding into Eastern Standard Time, which is what I wanted, but I don't need these two ever again, but I don't want to delete them because they came from the original data set. So if you select the two by selecting the B and C column, and you right click, you can then have an option that is to hide and unhide the column. This makes it so you don't have to look at 3,000 at a time. You can look at 3 rows or whatever columns are useful to you. All of a sudden it jumps from A to D. So I've hidden B and C because they're useless. And therefore I don't have to worry about seeing them. Is there a way to convert from A and P? Yes, there is. Oh, that's an awesome question. See, I looked up. So yeah, so see how Eastern Standard Time is really long and it's annoying. But if I go to Format Cells, there is the time, and you could set it for AM, PM, and see how it cuts down to the nice one. You can do the same thing as Format Cells, date, time, and go to, all right, I want 13, and it will go to the old school 24-hour
military time.
So it's whatever you choose and whatever's easiest for you. The thing is so I do a lot of medical malpractice, and so I'm used to military time, but the jury is not. So you keep it military up until trial, and then I convert it over. So that's a very useful.
Right, and that applies to all kinds of things that you want to convert. If you've got currency or numbers or temperatures, all kinds of that formatting tool allows you to, as long as the kind of number is the same throughout that particular column, Microsoft Excel allows you to convert those to some other kind of format.
So in it, adding colors, borders, tables are very similar. So borders is that same function. If you select a section of your chart, I don't like this gray line. It's hard to delineate between the different aspects of the chart. So I select it and I go to Format Cells. And in that section, which we saw before, there is a border. So remember how we were in number and the numbers had the time and all that stuff, or currency, etc. Now we're doing border, and you can set a thickness, and you select outline or inside, and it will add those borders to your chart. So similarly, you can see I have a border on this, so you can, I can then delineate between them. Now, I don't know if I put it in my PowerPoint, so I'll show you now. See how number 1 is always there? So it's following, even though I'm on line 870, line 1 is still above because that's my header. It is not a default to do that. First, let's put all of them back in because it's only one day. So to get to have that go is called a freeze pane. Okay, so under view at the top, there's a freeze pane section, and it can freeze either the first column itself, because if you're going right and left, or the top row. So if I unfreeze the top row, so I have it on, unfreeze, see, it's gone. Yeah. That's annoying. So
well, not only is it annoying, but you lose track of what data you're looking at. So that's why it's so helpful to freeze that there.
Yeah, and so I always have that on all mine. It just makes life a hell of a lot easier. Color settings, instead next to borders, fill. So just like Justin was showing you in Word, similarly, you can pick the colors that you want to have and make your documents look pretty. Now you get into some more complex stuff, but I think it is very useful, called tables and charts. You saw how the tables got generated, which was in that first section here. Remember I said insert table? Next to it is a thing called pivot table. That is not for today. That is
it is really cool, but it's not.
Yeah, that's nerd central. But there is a cool thing, which is recommended charts. So similarly to the insert table, it magically tells you what you do. So let me, I pulled up a blood pressure chart. So these are, we're readings on blood pressure. And so
John, how about something real simple that occurs to me that drives me nuts is how do you alternate the colors per each line right now? Like I see four, yeah, that I can never figure that out. So right now I see 2, 4, 6 are alternating colors. How do you do that?
Sure. So if you go to home and on cell styles, it has the different colors where you can do like this, which everybody's used to, but it's also a table. So there's format as a table, and that will do your every other lines.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, cool. So it's format as a table, not format as an individual line item, because otherwise that would drive you nuts to do every other line. Insane.
Thank you.
So here's the data sets. You've got systolic, diastolic, time, all this stuff. If I went to insert, you'll see that I can't do table because table's already done, but I do have recommend charts. And by recommending a chart, it will say, oh, look, we can put in a bar graph, or we can do it in these spit spot things or whatever it is. But as simple as, okay, puts a chart based upon all of these readings. And so this chart might look ugly, but it is not. I'm going to go back because I think I have that in this here. So when you have that data, because I want to make it big so you can see it, those lines, there's line charts, there's bar charts, there's dot graphs, there's scatter charts, whatever is best to show your imaging. And there could be columns, pie, bar, area. It will pick what's best based upon the data structure that you have in the program. And so let me go back to it. So here, once you've got it, I'm going to put this in the middle so we can go. There are these 3 little suckers on the side here, a plus, a paintbrush kind of looking thing, and a filter. So if I was to look at it, I say, all right, this is, let me make this even bigger. If I click the painted picture, I can go like, all right, I'll pick the chart I like, but I don't like the layout. I want each number to show up. I want it to look like this or whatever I want as my layout. I can then pick the numerics. This looks pretty crappy. Let's make it bigger. So you work with your graph to fit as to what you think is the best. And you can filter it as well and say, I don't want all the systolic. I just want the systolic. I just want the diastolic. I want the map, whatever you want. And you can take out items as well. So I don't want the map on this anymore. The map is now gone. If I want to get rid of the axis lines, I can get rid of them. I can get rid of the data tables. Like you can pick what you wanted to work with. But what's really cool is if you want to create your own document, look at this. If you can copy the chart and then go into, say, PowerPoint, because it's a product, and paste that chart in by Control Z, and you could then still work with it here. I'm going to change the color of this sucker. Let's make it blue. All those things are still here because the data has transferred, but in a artistic form as opposed to the Excel spreadsheet form, which is I find pretty neat. So if you're making your, like, how cool is that? Like, and you can edit all the way in and, you know, do, so here's that part Justin was telling you about, the fill, the border, the colors. You can do all of that to the individual elements of your chart, which is very, very cool. I think is very cool because then you're making your graphics without having to spend $1 million on some external source to create or to really confuse yourself. And it makes a complicated Excel sheet into something very simplistic. What else is... Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to give a quick example for everybody who may be saying, I don't have that much data. Why do I need this? I'll give a quick example of a way that you could use exactly what John's showing you. Imagine you've got a expert on the other side and you want to show their testifying income per year for the last 8 years. So it might be 100,000, 120,000, 150,000, 160, whatever the numbers are for each year. You can make a very simple table within Excel and then convert that to a bar chart and drop that into your PowerPoint presentation to then use whether during trial or for something else. So I don't want people to think that, I don't have that much data, so I don't need to learn this or use these tools. It can be with a very small amount of, finite amount of data. And it may even be just the number of times your client went to a particular doctor or the amount of medical bills. And you can, so it can be a lot, the information can be in a lot more, it doesn't have to be as complicated, but
yeah. No, and it doesn't. And believe it or not, if you get to use to Excel, it can do tremendous things. So I always go back to, because I always think about trial, like I'm always there at all times. I don't know why my brain just always goes, what would I do at trial?
You're preparing for trial. That's what I say.
Exactly. And so if you were to, there's an add-on called Office Timeline Pro, and you can import, say,
when you say add-on, what do you mean?
Oh, sure. It's a separate program. Like I was talking about OneTastic earlier. I think you would cut out, Justin. It's a separate non-Microsoft product that you can download, and it puts itself in. So like, remember how Justin showed you there was an Adobe at the top, and there's an Acrobat here, and it adds in Adobe features. There's an Office Timeline Pro, which adds in a timeline creation module. And you can then create your own timelines, which are fantastic in PowerPoint. But if you have created your timeline for your chart in Excel, you can actually import the timeline into your PowerPoint, and it will generate a timeline off of your Excel sheet. So it'll save you a hell of a lot of time. It'll make the visual depiction. But one of the things I didn't show, I keep showing these drop-down menus on how to organize, and that is, while I love it, it is not pretty. And I just told you got to make everything pretty. So you want to add in called a slicer. You were talking, what did you call the help function on yours? Is help, right?
Right.
Yeah. So in Microsoft products, it's search. So if I type in slicer, it would say insert slicer. But I've made that one of my quick access toolbars because I like speed. And here I can pick, I want to say, all right, let's organize it by date.
Well, hold on, you blew by that. And I don't want to get you off the path of the slicer, but for people who are looking for a quick tip, let's say there are particular tools in a Microsoft product that you frequently use. You have the ability to add those tools as a quick access, I can't remember what you called it, Why don't you show people a couple things real quick? How you?
Well, I had done that when you had disappeared earlier.
Sorry. Oh, never mind.
So you're all good. But the quick access toolbar, I add in that slicer. And what the slicer does is if you select the table, any of the columns in the table, and hit insert slicer, I can go, all right, I want to organize this by date and by username. And it will create giant boxes, which is like the export of this little thing here. So if I say, all right, you know what? Show me December 6th. That's February 6th. Done. All right, show me February 6th and February 8th. Done. Show me this person. Done. This person. And this way you're navigating your chart in a lightning fast manner and can create and organize information and find out. So you're deposing this Ambula person. Here's everything they've got. And therefore it is a quick navigable tool setting that is as simple as point and click and navigate. So that's called a slicer. And it's just really cool. It's really cool. I have those pivot tables. That is way not for today. So I will, and I'm looking at the time. So let's jump back to you.
All right. I'll just tell you what I'll do is talk. I've tried to answer some people's questions about that they've been having. So let me use Adobe Acrobat. Actually, I'll just share the whole screen. That makes it easier. All right. So let's talk about, I started opening up my Excel to try to find slicer on the Mac side, but whatever. All right. So I want to cover some specific tools that are available in Acrobat and suggest certain settings that you want to modify or change. So I'm going to show you where some of those are, at least on the Mac side, same idea on the PC. So in Adobe Acrobat, let's look at some settings that you want to tweak and why you want to do that. In Adobe Acrobat, if you go to Preferences, you get this pop-up window that shows you certain features and things that you can change how Adobe Acrobat will interact with you. So a couple of things I always suggest changing is if you go to your preferences and under commenting, let me grab this tool. So here's commenting and preferences. One of the ones I always suggest checking is where it says copy selected text into highlight, strike through, underline, replace text, comment pop-ups. What that does is as simple as that. I'll do it without the fee. I'll turn that off real quick. Let's say I want to make a comment. I want to add a comment to this particular text. So I could select it and I'm going to make a quick comment to add a way for me to reference it later on. So I want to find it I want to make a sticky note. Here's an example of this. If I click on sticky note and drop it right here, let's say I want to remember something about this particular text. I'll make it a little bigger to see. It will now create the sticky note, and I can now add a comment here which says, let's say expert cross exam. And I want to ask the expert something about that. I want to hit post. So now this comment is embedded within Adobe Acrobat. Here is the sticky note. And there are different kinds of commenting tools available to you. You can also do a text call out, which I like to do sometimes if I want to point to something specifically, and then I can write myself a note about it. Let's say, I had expert cross-exam, I'll put witness, I'll put down a color of car, whatever. All right, so what these are now comments embedded within the Acrobat PDF itself that allow me to remind myself something about this PDF. So whether I'm looking at an article, a medical journal article, a law review article, a case, anything that's a PDF within Adobe Acrobat, I can add these various comments to them. I can even do things like highlight or underline and some other things. So I can select the highlighter tool and I can highlight this. And so for whatever reason, I've now got this highlighted to remind me of something just like you would with a physical highlighter. One of the things, and Acrobat treats this as a comment, even though it's a highlight. So if you come here to the right where you see all these different tools that are available to you in Adobe Acrobat, if I click on the comment tool, the comments appear on the right side and are searchable over here. So you see this highlight text. It just tells me I've highlighted some text. Let's say I'm on this page. I look at this, I don't know what I've highlighted. If I click here, it will take me there. So jumping back to the preferences, if you select copy selected text into highlight and hit OK, now let's say there's some text in an article, journal, case that I want to use, and I now make it a highlighter, it automatically copies that text from here into my comment, and I can add, this is important to review or whatever it might be. So I can, to me, that's an important thing because now when I'm out of view of the particular page, I can see what my particular comment might be, and it will remind me about that. All right, so that's a couple of quick things about that particular preference, commenting, copy selected text in there. The other thing it allows you to do is to create bookmarks. So if I'm, well, I'll get to that in a moment, I guess. I'll do it real quick. I have to cancel this out. So one of the cool things is you can do with Adobe Acrobat is create these bookmarks on the side that allow you to jump to a particular spot in your document. So let's say I want to go to the first page. Let's say I want to go right here to this particular header. I've got my highlighter tool on. How embarrassing. All right, so, that's one thing I want to show people as well. If you want to change the color, if you click on this little color dot, you can now change the color of your highlighter tool. A lot of people like to color comments that have different meanings to them, and that's how you can do it. So you click on it, click on the dot, and then you can change the color. So let's say I want to make this a bookmark. If I select, I want to select this, and I do, at least on the Mac, it's Command B. On this side, you see it automatically creates a bookmark capturing state of South Carolina as part of the bookmark. That means I don't have to type the name of the bookmark. And for those of you who recognize that's obviously not at the top, although this is at the top, you can click and hold on this bookmark and then drag it up to the top. So now what you can do within Adobe Acrobat, you can create a bookmark that will take you to a particular page or within a particular part of a document. That's what a bookmark allows you to do.
For the Microsoft, it's for the Windows people, it's Control B. Instead of Command B. Yeah, so anything, I believe everything in Adobe is Control when you say Command.
All right, thank you. So we'll go to, so I just want to show real quick about commenting and why I like to have this copy selected text. It just allows you to do things much quicker. I'm watching the time, and that's part of why I'm speeding up, so I apologize for those. I have to teach a class in about 20 minutes, so a law school class, not y'all aren't a class. So I want to turn on I'll show you a couple other things real quick that I think are important to show. If you go to General, so if you're now we're in Preferences under General, right here there's something called Use Fixed Resolution for Snapshot Tool Images. By default, Acrobat comes at something like 300 dpi, which is a very small, very grainy sort of setting. So I'm going to open up a Keynote real quick, and I'm going to show you an example of a way that let's say you wanted to grab a piece of a PDF and drop it into a document or a slideshow. So imagine I want to change this to the default of 75, hit OK. And imagine I want to, let's say you've got an insurance contract or a piece of a medical record that you wanted to grab from the PDF and put it into your slide. With Adobe Acrobat, you can use a tool called the Snapshot Tool. And if you can't find it, just type in Snapshot. So there it is, take a snapshot, and there it is under Edit. So I'm going to go under Edit and take a snapshot. These little crosshairs appear, and you click and hold and you drag it across to take a image. So that blue box is going to represent what I'm going to grab. When I let go, it's going to capture that into memory. So then I can go into my, whether it's a Word document, Keynote, PowerPoint, whatever, and then just paste that that I just grabbed and drop it into that document or that slideshow. That's at 75 DPI. So a lot of times when you're doing a slideshow for the judge or jury or dropping it into a app, it looks very pixelated. It looks like crap. So if you go into Adobe Acrobat and you go to the preferences and you go to general and you change this up to 300 DPI, that's 300 dots per inch, hit OK. Now I'm going to grab the same area and we'll see the difference. So I'm going to do the Snapshot Tool. And I can never remember where it is, so I'll just do this. Oh, I'm in Keynote, that's why I couldn't find it. Okay, edit, take a snapshot. So there it is, it's already selected. So I'm gonna grab the same area that I just did a second ago, and you're gonna see the difference. So if I'm grabbing the exact same area, it captures it into memory, but now when I paste it, it's like crisp, it's very crisp. And so I encourage you to change that setting right away so that when you grab information from a PDF, it doesn't look like this, it looks very crisp. And that's what that 300 DPI does in that setting for Snapshot Tool. Let me talk about searching and finding real quick, and then we'll see if there's some other questions. One of the things that happens with Adobe Acrobat is, let's say you want to search for language within a particular document. I'm just going to open up a case real quick that I know about. So let's say I've got a case right here. And it's a 10-page case, and I'm looking for some language within it. If on the Mac, if I do Command F, and on PC, I think it's Control F, this little drop-down Find appears, and I'm going to search for a term called, let's call collect. As I start to type, it starts to auto-populate with words it has already found in the document that might match it. I want to look for the word collectability. So if I click on that, it will now take me to where that word appears. And you can see it appears twice. So it appears once here and once down here. Now, that's normal find, or that's what you would think of when you try to find a word in a very large, or in a PDF. Imagine instead of having a 10-page PDF, you have a 100-page or 1,000-page PDF. Every time you try to search, and let's do a silly example, let's just use the word, and or something. It is 111 times. So now every time the word and appears, I'm trying to look for a specific example of the word and. I have to hit next every time, and it's moving down the page to go to the very next time the word and appears, which can take forever. Versus there's a different tool, that's the Find tool. There's a tool called Search, and it's on the Mac, it's called Advanced Search, and it's Shift Command F. On the PC, I guess is
Shift Control F.
Shift Control F. Okay. So now it will bring up this other window, which is a really cool window, which you may not have known about or played with. So I'm now searching for the word and. If I type it here and hit search, it now gives you a context in which the word and appears. So now I can say, oh, I want to go to this page, and it automatically takes you to that page of the PDF or whatever it might be. Now, there are a couple things about the Find and Search tool that you need to know. We were showing a moment ago about commenting. Let's say I want to make a comment right here of put down key point. I'll just put the word winner. All right. So that is a comment I'm making about this particular quote within this particular case. Now, let's say I haven't looked at this PDF in a long time, and I'm saying to myself, I know somewhere in this document, I want you to find the word winner. And I did find the word winner is not appearing. And I'm like, I know it's there because I created a specific comment for it. What's happening is Acrobat is not searching beyond the text of the PDF. It's not searching the comments or the bookmarks. So if you use that Shift Command F, which is this advanced search feature, you can now search for things that are included in the comments or in the bookmarks. So now if I type the word winner and say search, Well, I don't know why I didn't find it. Did I do that? That's wild. Why did it not find it? Did I do something wrong? Oh, I misspelled it. That's why. Okay. Now I spelled it right. Yeah. So now it finds the word winner right there. So if I click on it, it will now take me to that comment. So to me, that's incredibly important to learn about this difference between find and search within Adobe Acrobat, because it can make a huge difference in your ability to find information that you have put into a PDF for you to look at later on. Copy bookmark tools. I was trying to go through some things. I've covered those are some of the basic things I wanted to cover in Adobe Acrobat. Again, from my perspective, we can take any kind of questions people may have, but I wanted to cover some basic things real quick. I know this will be available, but we wanted to try to show you multiple tools that are available and how you might start beginning to feel comfortable using them in your litigation practice. This by no means was any attempt to be a deep dive, but what we wanted to do was try to show you that you have these apps already, or ones very similar to them on your computer. And we wanted to try to show you ways that you can start using them to increase the ways that you can help your client be more effective with the court and to feel more comfortable working with these apps. One of the things that you also saw from both of us is we do not pretend to know it all. We use those help features or those search features within the apps. Don't be afraid of that. Know that tool is available to you to hold your hand and walk you through using the apps and start using them. I don't know what other, I don't know if Ginger has, I don't know if John, you have anything else you want to cover now? I'm just looking at the time.
In 2 minutes, I couldn't say. No. I'm just saying I don't have anything. Like,
okay. Good. Okay.
You can tell a million things. But,
yeah. I was looking to see if there were any other questions. I think we've answered all the questions that have been asked. I think I don't know if Ginger, do you see any other questions? And this is going to be available they have made a recording of this, which is going to be posted on a Connectionology YouTube channel. So you can go back and look at it later on or have other people in your firm look at it. You can always contact John and I if you've got any questions. We'll try to answer them for you. But we really want you to start getting comfortable with using the technology you already have and showing you that there are other ways that you can be more persuasive, more effective, and help your clients have a better outcome.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Justin and John. You guys did such a great job today. I know that there's going to be a lot more questions for you. So after this webinar ends, I'm going to send an email to everybody with your contact information, which will include this. But stay in touch with Justin and John. You know, they're such a great resource. I know when I have questions about things, I'm always calling them. In fact, when something new comes out, I'm like, I will literally call Justin and be like, hey, what is this? You know, and he's like, oh, I already got it. So stay in touch with them. They're great. And they're great trial lawyers. So the whole point of Connectionology is, you know, getting you guys connected together. Obviously, we do our live seminars across the country, but since then, we've been offering these wonderful webinars, different topics, different speakers, and we're going to continue doing those for all of you. I want to thank everybody for watching them, being such great supporters. I mean, we are so appreciative of you. And Justin and John, thank you so much. Before we close out, I want to introduce Ted, who is the Director of Marketing over at HMR. And he has joined us today because he has a special announcement.
Yeah, so the winner of the coffee today is Catherine.
Justin Kahn. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Catherine Daly from Tampa, Florida.
All right. Congratulations, Catherine.
And Justin.
Well, we will make sure, Ted, to reach out to Catherine in just a few minutes. But congratulations. This is such great coffee. And thank you so much for doing this giveaway for us.
Hey, you're welcome. It was a great webinar today, too. I have to say I'm a huge fan of Onenote, and I use it across all my computers, my cell phone. It's great. So.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. I'm going to send you an email in a few minutes. I'm going to send you the link to John's book, which will be a wonderful resource for you as well. And if you guys need anything else, just let us know. But we hope to see you back here again tomorrow at 3 o'clock because we have John Romano for a full 90 minutes, you guys. It's just him, and he's going to be talking about case delay disasters, and it is going to be incredible. So I'm very excited, and we hope we will see you again tomorrow. Until then, you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.